you've ever asked yourself, how can I get the swing and the golf game that I've always imagined without trying every tip, every training aid, watching every video after video on social media, then this podcast is for you. Welcome. I'm Daniel Guest, and welcome to the Imagine Golf podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Imagine Golf and PXG. All right, welcome back, Imagination. It is Friday, which means it's time for another edition of 4 Minute Friday. I'm hitting into you. I am obviously Daniel Guest, and today we are going to talk about something that sounds almost completely counterintuitive. But before I get to that, quick shout out to PXG. I'm not only one of my sponsors, but obviously I'm on staff with them as well. If you listen to the podcast, just had an amazing fitting for my annual set. I went with the Gen 8s and the black Gen 8s for the first time in about 20 years. I got black clubs. So super excited about that. I'm hitting it about another club farther. Thanks, PXG. And if you haven't hit the new PXG clubs, man, there's a little advertisement there. But look, getting back to the podcast, if you want to become a better ball striker, you need to stop hitting just golf balls, right? I know. Look, I know you want to go to the range. I know you want to go to the simulator. And by the way, I want you to go to the simulator. I have interest in a couple of facilities, right? So I want you to play more indoor golf, right? I want you to hit more golf balls. But that's not exactly the point, right? I want you to hear me out here, right? The problem here is you're stuck, and I'm doing air quotes. Let's call it ball bound, BALL bound, ball bound, right? I think we've all been there, right? You're working on a swing change. You're working on something in your game. If I had to pick two of them that most amateurs are working on, they're probably trying to shallow out the shaft, or you're trying to get your lead wrist squared, or even bowed at impact, right? And you've all done this, everyone, including me, right? You make a practice swing. It feels amazing. It's perfect. It feels pure. If you could just swing like that, right, you'd strike the ball pure. It feels like, and looks like Adam Scott or Fred Couples. It's that smooth. It's the perfect reflection, right, of everything you're trying to do. Right? You're okay. Check. You're an expert at air golf. You're an amazing air golf. If you just didn't have to hit the golf ball, you'd be a scratch golfer. All right. And then, and you all know where I'm going with this, you put the ball in front of you, and immediately, consciously or subconsciously, and probably more subconsciously, your brain switches modes. It goes from process mode, right? How am I moving? What am I doing? What am I trying to accomplish, right? To task mode. Hit that little white thing with 363 dimples on it, right? That round piece of plastic that I want to hit the cover off, all right? And that's a key distinction, right? That process mode to task mode. Your brain, I don't want to say it panics, but it kind of panics. It reverts to the old motor pattern that you have, right? Your swing print, because it knows that pattern will make contact, right? The result, well, you don't make that amazing swing, right? You hit it off the toe, you hit it off the heel, the ball goes a little bit to the right, the ball goes sideways, for crying out loud. And you get crazy frustrated. And then here's where the killer comes in. Then you start tinkering, and you start trying to find that perfect swing, that feeling that you had in your practice swing. And if you're on the range, congratulations, you just wasted 50, 60 balls reinforcing some form of a bad habit. And if you're in the sim, right, you just wasted 45, 50 minutes, of your hour doing the same. All right. So what's the solution? Okay. Well, the solution is simple. We call it dry drills, the power of dry drills. Because here's the truth that I want you to kind of think about, right? And this is facts. This is not, esoteric, or this is not lore from 4 centuries ago. This is fact, right? The most permanent swing changes happen when there is no ball involved. Let me say that again. The most permanent swing changes happen when there is no ball involved. When you remove the ball, you immediately remove the anxiety of the result. You remove the fear of that shank or that slice or that duff or the over the top. You insert anything, any fault that you want. And when you remove that fear, you give your central nervous system permission, right, to actually learn that new movement pattern. This is what's called neuroplasticity, right? To override or overwrite a groove that you've dug, all right, or that you grooved for the last 10 years and a gazillion swings, you have to move slowly. You have to start small before you can go big, and you have to move deliberately with intention and purpose. You cannot fix a movement pattern at 80 to 100 miles an hour while you're trying to hit a target. You just can't do it, right? But you can fix it at 5 miles an hour in your living room, right? Or in your garage or in a hotel room or on a bus. You get the point. So here's the thing. I want you to take this challenge for me. I'm putting air quotes again up. This living room challenge, right? And consider it homework just do it for the weekend, right? And if you go to the range, if you're one of these guys that practices once a week, or excuse me, every weekend, that's fine. Right? I'm not saying you don't have to or stop hitting golf balls 100%. But here's your homework for the weekend, right? And if you can it's Super Bowl weekend, for crying out loud. What a better excuse not to hit golf balls. So if you can, table hitting golf balls, that would be the best. But grab a club, right? Grab a spatula, for crying out loud, if you're in your kitchen, right? I want you to do these dry reps, right? The first one is simple. I want you to go slow motion, super slow motion. Do the movement that you're trying to learn in extreme, like time lapse photography, right? Take 10 seconds as an example to finish your backswing. If you have a mirror where you can actually swing in front of the mirror, then do it, right? It's amazing what you'll see, how your body moves in the mirror, especially when you're trying to work on something, right? So the first piece is go slow. The second piece is feel the extremes, right? If you slice, as an example, feel like you're swinging out. We call it to 1 o'clock. A lot of instructors say right field. That's not good enough. But feel like you're swinging to your right side, right, away from your body by like 10 feet, for crying out loud, right? Without a ball, you can exaggerate that feel without worrying about where the ball goes, right? So feel your back shoulder drop down. Feel like you're skipping a stone. There's a ton of analogies, right? But feel that different extreme, right? And then do this 100 times, right? I know what you're thinking, Daniel, I don't have time for 100 times. Yeah, look, everybody has time for things that are important. And if you swing over the top, this is important, right? Swing 100 dry swings like this weekend. You don't have to do it in one setting. And I know it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. If you can find just 10 minutes, you can do 100 dry swings. That's it, right? That's your homework for the weekend. If you can do 100 reps without a ball and focusing purely on just one movement, you will do it. You will do more for your golf swing than if you hit 5,000 golf balls, right? With no purpose. That's a fact. Let me repeat that. We'll close with that. If you can do 100 reps without a golf ball, focusing purely on just the movement that you're trying to correct, you will do more for your golf swing than hitting 5,000 golf balls with no purpose. All right? So look, that's it. We're going to wrap this up with, I know golf is hard. You know golf is hard. Stop trying to make it even harder by testing yourself before you've actually learned the material, right? Right? Do the work, right? Do the work without the ball. Heck, do the work, close your eyes, like we used to say, do it in the dark, and watch how much easier it is to finally make the move that you're trying to do. All right? That's it for the week. Let's keep it simple. Do your dry reps. And let's get the game in the swing that you always wanted. All right. I want you guys to have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. And by the way, I'm going to put a dry drill plan. I picked 2 swing faults over the top and early extension. Imagine that, right? I'll drop that in the bottom, and I'll even drop a video of a wall drill that we do all the time. All right. Hey, like the podcast and send it on to all your friends and relatives. Thanks. All right, then. That's today's podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the follow button wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to check out our site, imaginegolf.com. Check out our YouTube page at Imagine Golf, and we're on all the social media platforms. I'm the same at Imagine Golf. And here's to getting you the swing and the game that you've always imagined. Hey guys, it's Daniel here. Hey, thanks for listening first and foremost. Handicaps haven't changed in over 35 years for one reason and one reason only. Traditional golf instruction just doesn't work. So if you're serious about getting that swing and game that you've always imagined, take a look at our site, imaginegolf.com. Join our members only club. Check out my video series, or even take a virtual or in-person lesson with me. There is no one who's more passionate about making you better in the industry, and I guarantee you'll golf better, guaranteed, or everything is free.